Hello, good morning everyone. My name is Pradyumna Pradhan, and today I will be discussing on the topic the consuming self, identity, expression, and modern marketing. The agenda for this presentation are as follows. Firstly, we'll be starting off with introduction of identity's role, where the concept of self will be briefly introduced in consumer behavior theory, followed by self-concept and decisions, how self-concept dictates purchasing decision and brand uh, familiarity. Part 2 will be comprising of consumption as identity, analyzing how products and brand become tool for self-expression of people, followed by digital identity and consumption, where transformative impact of social media and expressive consumption pattern will be discussed. And finally, conclusion and key takeaways, where we'll be summarizing the core insight on the relation between identity and consumer behavior. So firstly, starting off with the introduction, defining the consuming self. So the self concept is the totality of a consumer's thought, perspective, feelings about themselves. And in consumer behavior theory, we often categorize these selves into three main components, namely the actual self, how we see ourselves, the ideal self, how we want to see ourselves, and the social self, how we believe others see us. All right. Now the focus on conscious self concept are is that self conscious self concept is an individual's internal private sense, which comprises of morals, values, personal identity and traits, etc. And this is deeply seated as the self view, yet often a subtle driver of long-term purchasing decision and brand loyalty. The part 1, where we'll be discussing about the self-concept influences purchasing. Firstly, it is the internal values, where purchasing aligns deeply with a belief, like for example sustainability, uh, um, environmental thinking, and or a luxurious pattern. Authenticity, where product that feel authentic or true to the consumer's identity, which are preferred over purely functional alternatives. Now brand fit, consumer seek brand whose perception, personality, and ethos mirror their true self. And ethical consumption, where a strong conscious self often translate into choice favoring fair trade, ethical sourcing, or local produces. Now here we have a case study of Patagonia and their environmental identity. Now this is more of an alignment of self-concept with brand mission. The consumer individual whose conscious self includes a strong dedication of environmentalism, conservation, ethical business practices, and Patagonia's mission is explicitly focused on sustainability and activism, where their slogan is "We're in the business to save our planet." Right? The brand high quality repair programs and don't and do not buy this jacket campaign reinforces their commitment, making consumption feel like an ethical statement. Now, purchasing Patagonia's clothes validates the consumer's identity as responsible, environmentally friendly, and satisfying their conscious self. Now, part 2, where consumption as identity expression, product and brand functions are as symbolic markers that communicate who we are and who we are not, of course, to the outside world. This process is known as symbolic consumption. Now, symbolic properties include good are not just tools, they are Goods are not just tools, they are what you say, they carry culture, meaning, status, and consumers adapt to this group membership or aspirational identity. Identity bridging, where consumption helps bridge the gap between actual self and ideal self. We buy the product of the person we want to be. Now, social signaling are certain luxurious items that are kind of like social currency, which immediately signals taste, wealth, belonging to specific subculture. Product categories analysis, like luxurious watches, right? Luxurious watches are prime example of product categories used extensively for non-verbal self-expression and identity construction, like status and achievements, lifestyle, subculture, heritage, and legacy, where uh, timepiece signals professional taste, success, right? The choice of brand like Rolex expresses affinity for specific lifestyle uh, and high finances, and heritage, where many luxury watches are associated with rich histories or craftsmanship, allowing the consumer to express the sense of connectivity to tradition or the quality. Now, digital identity and hyperconsumption, where social media has fundamentally altered the performance and visibility of consumer identity, shifting consumption from an act of private thing to public statement. Like, for example, visibility, a digital persona, and how fast the trend change. The mechanism of social consumption are aspirational groupisms, where consumers follow influencers, friends who consume whose consumption habit embody their ideal self, leading direct imitation of purchasing goods, which is also called duped culture. A visual storytelling, where the platforms like Instagram, TikTok prioritize aesthetic presentation of goods, turning product into content rather that need to be constantly updated and cured. This need of constant visual refreshments accelerate the trend cycle, and it encourages fast replacement of product even if they are still functional. Now, in this presentation, the key takeaways for marketer is that understanding the deeper self, like focusing marketing on how the brand align with the consumer's values and moral identity, the transparency and the ethics. Enabling identity performances, recognizing that the products are tool of self expressions, and design marketing campaigns and strategy aligning with public signaling and sharing, and embracing the digital loop, like monitoring social media trends to understand the visual and narrative cues customer use to express their identity, and integrate these to content strategy. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this presentation.